What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Nice Guy Mask video training. And I'm really excited to share this with you because I honestly think that the things we're about to go through in the next 45 to 60 minutes, we'll see how we go, is going to be incredibly impactful and beneficial for you. Now, I'm a guy that has lived in the past with the Nice Guy Mask as the nice guy. It was a big part of my journey, to become the man that I am today. And for so many years, I really struggled with feeling like I needed to be the nice guy in my relationships. I struggled with a lot of body dysmorphia, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, and it went into every different area of my life. And for so long, I didn't realize why it was happening. I just thought that this was the way that it was, and this was the kind of person that I needed to be liked and loved and receive validation. But it wasn't until I really started to go on my own personal development journey that I started to put some pieces together to actually understand why I was the way I was, where that had come from, how it was showing up, and how to actually let go of it so I can, step into the man that my family and future can depend on. And so everything that we're about to go through in this training is a result of my own personal experience, but it's also a result of the 10 plus years that I've been a mentor and coach. And this video is not just going to be talking about the relationship issues you're having or the confidence issues you're having or the surface level ways that this shows up. We'll touch on that. But as you'll see, there is so much more to this picture. There is a reason why this nice guy mask is there. And so in this video, we're going to break down all of the different parts sort of underneath that you're probably not aware of that is actually driving the mask, because chances are you've tried to let go of this before, but nothing has ever worked. And that's only because you continue to focus on what you see in your external world. So your relationships, your confidence, your body, your business, wherever this is showing up for you. And you're actually missing the couple of things that are creating the mask to begin with. So in this video, we're going to run through all of that. You're going to get to the end of this and hopefully feel some hope in where you're going, and understand that this isn't the way that it needs to be for you. All right, guys. So yeah, strap in, grab your notes, and we'll get stuck into this. So before we start, just some disclaimers before we get into the actual content. So we'll be covering the overarching mechanism of how this works, but remember, personal nuance is going to determine how all of this will work best for you, and everyone's experience is going to be a little different. So we'll go into, again, the overarching mechanism of the mask, of the conditioning, of the mindset side, and how this shows up. But obviously your story and your circumstances and your journey up until this point is going to be different from me. It's going to be different from the next person. And so the way this applies is going to change, a little bit for everyone. That's where I guess my mentoring comes in. But in this video, you're going to get the why and the how behind what you actually need to do. So as I'm going through this, when I'm talking about some broader sort of topics, I want you to be like, okay, how does this apply to my situation? Where does this show up for me? How can I take what Tom is saying and apply it to exactly what I'm experiencing? And that's how you're going to get the most out of this. As I mentioned already, this training is based off of my personal experience, living as this kind of man, plus 10 years of being a mentor in the fitness space, the mental health space, the mindset, the emotional, all of the sort of personal development space, and all of the subsequent development, mentoring, and education that I have done. Right? So I'm sort of combining the best of personal experience with the actual tangible strategy, the tangible knowledge behind why this happens. Okay. So I want you to also notice when your ego wants to jump in and question what I am saying, because it will. Right? Be open and receptive to what I go through in this video. So there are going to be some things that we go through here that are going to challenge your ego. They're going to challenge what you believe to be true. They're going to challenge the paradigm you have of the world. And as we're going to go through, your ego is very geared to keeping you exactly as you are, as the nice guy. Its job is to keep you there because this, for the moment, is your safe space. It's what you know. It's what has become comfortable. And so when we go through things that, going to give you a way out or might, have you go like, oh, wow, like, okay, that makes sense. I actually can change. I feel confident about, changing this moving forward. Just be aware of the doubts and the things that will come up that will try to convince you otherwise, right? That's part of the game. And again, we'll explore that as we go. Now, not going to talk about this much in here because this is just sort of a non-negotiable to me, but a relationship with God must be the foundation to all of this, right? This is the difference between you deriving your worth from God, from the Creator, versus the world. When we are rooted in God, we can sort of bypass the noise and the expectation and the comparison and the conditioning of who the world tells us to be. So having that foundation with God, with faith, is, in my opinion, a total non-negotiable. Again, I'm not here to push my beliefs on 21, but if that doesn't align with you, then again, that's totally fine. But in my opinion, this is the most important thing from a foundational level, is to understand where your worth as a man actually comes from, i.e. God versus the world. And then the last one, and this might be the one that starts to challenge you, right? So you don't actually have a relationship, a body, a business, or a life challenge. You have an external world challenge that simply mirrors your current internal identity. So I understand that a lot of your challenges are very likely relationship based. That seems to be most of the men that I work with or talk to come at me from that relationship space. But those things are simply projections of who you actually are. So you're showing up a certain way in your relationships, which is creating certain problems as a result of that deeper identity stuff. So as we'll go through this work is twofold. We need to understand what is driving you and causing you to show up this way with the nice guy mask. And then once we understand that and we shift the foundation, then of course we can talk strategy in your relationship, or with your body or business or whatever it might be. We can talk about how to approach certain conversations or the masculine and feminine dynamic. Like, we can get a little bit more tangible with our advice. But if we don't have the foundation and the understanding of what we're about to go through, none of that stuff is going to last, or it's just not going to work, which chances are has already been your experience. All right, so we'll come back to this point as we go. Now, just going through a few of the things that, my intention is to give to you in this video. So we're going to understand the real reason you struggle to lead. This is one of the biggest issues of the nice guy, the ability to actually step up and lead relationship, life, business, body, purpose, whatever that might be. You'll see how the nice guy mask was built as a survival mechanism to protect you, why leading currently feels foreign, and how to finally feel confident in doing so. We're going to go through how the conditioning actually happened. So where this mask and nice guy actually originated from. The step-by-step process that convinced you to trade your true self for approval, and why that same rule book is still running in the background today. So as you'll see, a lot of the stuff we're going to go through is happening at a very unconscious level, which is why you don't have any idea that it's happening and why it can be so frustrating. And we're going to unpack that as we go. Number 3, the one lie that is driving it all. So we're going to uncover the single belief / story that is causing you to overthink, the low self-esteem, the lack of confidence, and why just fixing the external, so the relationship, the job, the body, never actually changes anything. So it is actually incredibly simple as to what is causing all the issues you're having. And it comes down to one lie and one story. And we're going to unpack exactly what that is. Number 4, how to start showing up as the man in your relationship. Right? The man that is confident, convicted, and secure, instead of the guy who needs constant reassurance, is anxiously attached, and quietly fears her leaving. So again, this is a byproduct of the deeper unconscious identity work that we're going to do, but these things will go hand in hand so you can finally feel like the man in your relationship, because more often than not, the nice guy certainly does not feel like that. And then finally, the 2-part shift that will help remove the mask at its root. So again, we can focus on all the symptoms that we want, but if we're not removing the root of these problems in the first place, we're going to have a bad time, and we're going to stay in these same recurring cycles and patterns that we get very, very sick of. So I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like to become whole again and start building the evidence of the man your family and future can actually depend on. Right? That is the whole purpose of what I do. That is my whole purpose in life, outside of my business. Become the man that your family, whether that's now, you've got one now, or the one you want in the future, can actually depend on. Right? That's all we want as men. We want to be dependable. We want to be worthy. We want to feel confident, and we want to feel capable of actually building the life and being the man that God has put us here to be. All right. So that is the intention with this video. All right, guys, let's get stuck into this. So I want to just kind of get an origin point here of where you are very likely at. Now, not all of these might apply to you, but chances are one of, if not all of these, are going to apply in some capacity. All right, so right now you are the classic nice guy who overthinks, needs constant reassurance, struggles to lead, people pleases, and doesn't feel like the man that he desires to be. Again, all just different symptoms of this nice guy. Your mood, your worth, and your safety is often dependent on your partner's mood. So one of the biggest challenges the nice guy will face is that because he can't validate his own worth, because he doesn't know how to give himself love, because he just doesn't feel good enough, he will use external things, and the most common one is relationship and his partner, in order to derive that worth that he can't give within himself. And so he will often be very, very dependent on his partner's happiness and mood to make sure that he is okay, right? When your partner is happy, or a relationship you've had in the past, when she's happy, you feel good, you feel safe, you feel secure. But as soon as she turns or has a bad day, even if it has absolutely nothing to do with you, your mood, your worth, and your safety goes down the drain. You spiral and you try to fix everything to bring her back to happiness, because again, she is the reflection for your worth, right? One of the most common things that we see. You can feel like a pushover at times because you struggle to stand your ground, set boundaries, and voice your truth, right? So you just get walked all over, you push down what is actually important to you, and you end up building this resentment, this frustration, and again, you don't feel like the man in your relationships. Your worth, similar to the one before, but your worth is anchored to other people, achievements, and who you think you need to be, right? So the whole strategy that you use to feel worthy and feel lovable and whatever else, which are core human needs of ours, is anchored to other people, right? If she's happy, I'm happy. If I'm achieving X, Y, Z, if I have this money, if I look a certain way, then I will be good enough. Then I will feel worthy. Then I can be happy. Then I can be confident, right? All external outsourcing, which is why you never feel safe, never feel in control, and never feel confident in who you are. It's because that is completely dependent on other people, of which you have no control, but you try to control through people pleasing, through the performance and the mask of the nice guy. So what I just said, life feels more like a performance and needing to keep up appearances instead of the fulfilling, thriving, abundant, and purposeful life that you want. All right, so we want to just get rid of this. We don't want to have to wake up every day and perform and be like, okay, who am I seeing today? What do I need to do today? Who do I need to be today to make sure I keep everyone happy? We want to be able to wake up. We want to be able to start and continue our day as our true self and stand strong in that every second of every single day, right? And you feel capable of so much more. Like God has a calling on your life, but you don't feel like the man who can fulfill it just yet, right? Maybe that's why you're here. There's one of two reasons that you're here. Either it's so painful and you're so over the struggle that you're just trying anything, right? In that case, I hear you. But there's also probably some of you that just feel called to more. You're like, this can't be it. This can't be the way. I see other men doing incredible things, and my friends are in relationships with the family and kids and whatever else with their business, and they look a certain way. It's like, I feel like I can do that, but I just can't get out of my own way. I just can't break these recurring patterns and cycles and this nice guy mask that continues to get in my way, right? And to that, I would say you are correct, right? God has you here for a reason, and he doesn't want you living as this insecure nice guy. He wants you to actually step into the man that you are here to be. All right. So again, we're going to be uncovering the patterns in order to help you do that. But you want to be the man your family and future can depend on. So everything aside, everything you're struggling with aside, all of your past mistakes and failures and insecurities and flaws and everything that's happened, you are here because you have a deep burning desire to be the man that your family and your future can depend on. Right, to be the husband that your wife deserves, to be the role model that your kids can look up to be an asset to God's kingdom, to be the business owner, the inspiration, whatever it is that you want to do with your life. You want to be the man that can actually make that happen. Right? Again, that's where this work is going to be incredibly, incredibly beneficial for you. So getting into the nitty gritty of this, and again, this is all the stuff that you've probably never, ever been aware of. I know every time I take someone through this, it's like a light bulb moment going off every 5 seconds, because this is just the stuff that is so deeply unconscious and that the world just doesn't want us to know, right? So what we need to understand is that the nice guy was born out of survival as a protection mechanism for you to avoid pain and have your core human needs met, right? Things like love, feeling accepted, feeling worthy, and certain in who you are and in what you're doing. Right? So it's a protection mechanism, because there was a time where your true self was abandoned, it was judged, it was mocked, it was shamed, it was made to feel guilty, made to feel not enough. And that is where this lie that I'm not enough actually began, right? So for me, where all of my challenges started was back in grade 6, I think it was. I was 11 or 12, and I had some gynecomastia, so a bit of extra fat around my chest. Right, that's what sort of caused my body dysmorphia. But I was getting some bullying for my chest because I was looking different. And so before the bullying, right, I didn't know any different. I just thought, oh, okay, I've got a bit of a different chest. I've got a bit more fat. Like I look a bit different to the other guys when I see them swimming or whatever it is. But I didn't really think anything of it because in that moment I was still just being me. But as soon as there was, some mocking and some judging and bullying taking place, I'm like, okay, I'm not good enough. Like the way I am is not good enough because this person is laughing at me, and now I feel pain, right? Now I feel less than I'm being laughed at. I don't feel good enough. And so in that moment, I learned, okay, I need to actually hide my true self away, i.e. like not let anyone see my chest, right? It's a physical thing, but really it's like, I can't be my true authentic self here because if I do, this will happen, right? So we go into this survival mode, right? We go into this protection mechanism to make sure we don't experience that pain again because it's obviously not very nice. So in that moment, I learned that, okay, my true self was not enough. So I've got to, in this case, quite literally cover up, right, in order to not have this happen again. So I would wear 2 shirts sometimes. When I played basketball, I would wear a singlet underneath my jersey to sort of hide my chest a bit. I would not swim shirtless. I would avoid being seen with my top off in the change rooms, right? All these different things where I was essentially pushing and suppressing part of myself so it didn't get seen. Right. So that's where I started to believe, okay, I'm not enough as I am. So I need to start being someone different and showing up differently. Now, not just from a physical standpoint, but I would also never want to be center of attention. I would hate doing school presentations. I would hate the spotlight on me. I would hate to, have all these eyes on me because again, I'm like, okay, they're going to see my chest, which is going to mean they're going to laugh at me because that's what happened before. And so I'm going to avoid that by being very, very shy, right? My posture was very slouchy. I hated doing school presentations. The thought of public speaking petrified me because people were going to be looking at me. Right? So this was all these layers I was just adding to support this belief that my true self was not enough. Right? So yeah, in that moment, you learnt that you weren't good enough as you were. So you needed to put on a mask and be the person who you thought others wanted you to be. Okay, so this is worldly conditioning at play, which again, we get into in the next chapter. Right, so whatever your moment is, everyone's got one. And again, it's not overly important to know exactly what your moment was. The fact is something happened and this is why you are the way you are, and that's okay. There's not a whole lot of benefit deep diving into it. I'm just not a huge fan of that. But we need to understand there was a moment, okay? And so from there, you then started to build this mask. You started to hide different parts of yourself, whether it was your opinions or your voice or your truth or the quirks you had, or maybe it was a physical thing, all because you just wanted to feel safe. You just wanted other people to love you, to accept you, to feel worthy, right? A lot of people I speak to and have worked with, like it happens at home, happens at home with their parents, right? They feel like they need to be a certain way to receive love because if they are this certain version of themselves, they were punished in some capacity, right? They were pushed away. They didn't receive that love. And so they learned, okay, in order for me to receive this, to feel good enough, to gain their approval, this is who I need to be. This is the mask I need to put on. Okay? Now from there, you then began creating a whole life based around that mask and not your true self, so not who you actually were, because survival became your number one priority. Right? So you basically have a choice. Okay, do I want to just be me authentically, and with that comes potential judgment or abandonment or whatever else? Or do I want to put on this mask, keep up appearances, make sure everyone likes me, hide the parts of myself that I have been told to believe is not enough so I can survive, right? So I can receive love, receive acceptance. This is the choice that we make, right? The fear is that if people see the real you, they won't like it and insert bad thing will happen. Again, they'll laugh, they'll leave me, they'll punish me, whatever it might be, right? I'll be an outcast. Right? So we're choosing survival over honoring our true self, flaws and all. So from here, all the struggles and symptoms that you then experience from then on were simply symptoms created by the version of yourself that you believe you needed to be. So from this moment, you weren't acting as the real you, putting on the mask, and then everything you did from there was not actually from you. Right? It was from who you believed you needed to be. Okay, again, we'll dive into this in a little bit. nothing ever changes because you are only and have only ever addressed the symptoms and not the cause. So you haven't got to the bottom of, okay, this is why I'm the way I am. This is the story that I'm believing. This is basically the lens in which I'm seeing my whole world through. I'm not looking at that. I'm trying to change my external world, which is actually a direct reflection of myself. Right? It's like I'm watching a movie. I don't like the movie. Instead of changing the movie in the projector, I'm choosing to try and change the screen somehow. Right? That's not how this works. We need to change the projector. And this is why a lot of men struggle. Right? They think another relationship is going to change. They think, oh, I'll just lose 5 kilos and I'll be confident. They think making X amount of money will make them happy. Maybe for a little while, but ultimately you're always going to fall back to the level of these patterns and to the level of this story and the conditioning that you have led to believe that you are. So without understanding that, addressing it and shifting it, you're just going to play the exact same movie again and again and again and again. Right? And nothing has ever allowed you to feel good enough or happy because your entire life had been built around being this imposter. So again, so many men I talk to say, I've got imposter syndrome. Like, I just feel like an imposter. Like, yeah, you literally are an imposter. Right? The mask is an imposter. This isn't actually you. This is a conditioned, created performance of you that you felt you needed to be in order to, again, receive X, Y, Z, the things that I've gone through. So you literally are an imposter. And so that's why you think this should make you happy because, okay, well, if I make this much money and that's what the world tells me is successful, and if I achieve that, then I'll be happy. But then maybe you do that. But then maybe deep down that wasn't actually something that was going to make you happy. You were just convinced that it was. And so you're like, oh, okay, I've got this money, but I'm not actually happy. I'm not actually fulfilled. Okay, I thought another relationship was going to be it. And like, this is the kind of person I wanted. And, you know, I pretended to be someone on my dates just because I wanted to be attractive to this girl. And then we got into the relationship and, you know, things were going really, really well because I was still wearing my mask. But then over time, I started to let my walls down. I started to be my true self because I was actually feeling safe and secure. And then she started changing because she was like, well, you've changed. Like, and you had, because she was attracted to the mask version of you, not the real version of you. Now you're actually standing as the real you. And she's like, hold on a minute, I'm very confused. There's 2 different men here, right? You're not the person I fell in love with because you were acting from the very start, from day one, from that masked version of you, right? The imposter. So of course, this person is going to be very, very misaligned with you, or that goal is going to be very, very misaligned with you because it was based on who you thought you needed to be or what you thought you needed to do in order to be happy, because that's what the world told you. All right, so I almost guarantee if you think back to all the things that haven't worked out or haven't made you happy or fulfilled or whatever it might be, chances are if you actually dig into that deep enough, you probably knew it was never going to be the right person for you. You probably knew it was never going to make you happy. But again, you were just trying to survive. You were just trying to protect yourself from experiencing the pain, right? But what comes with that is pushing our true self down, and that creates a different level of pain that we don't always associate to until, you know, perhaps you're watching this video. Okay, so that, again, in a nutshell, I could go on about this forever, but that in a nutshell is the mask. Protection mechanism to avoid pain in order for you to get your core human needs met as a result of being abandoned, shamed, mocked, or whatever it might be in your past, right? You've learned you're not enough. You then built a whole life from whenever that happened, whatever age, and you built an entire reality around the mask and not you, right? Then all the challenges and struggles were simply a result of the mask and they weren't actually the problems in and of themselves. And then nothing changed because you were never actually addressing the cause and you were just trying to be a certain person in order to receive this happiness, but you were always an imposter. You were always going to struggle with that imposter syndrome because you literally were. Cool. Moving on to the next one. All right, so where we really deep dive down this rabbit hole. So where it all began, this is the worldly conditioning, okay? So when we're born into this world, we're born into a collection of billions of smaller personal worlds that form our family, community, city, country, society, and humanity as a whole. Right, so we don't get any choice with the family we're born into, where we're born, the time we're born, the collective belief systems and norms of where we're born. Like we're just put into this world and we just have to start learning to adapt to our exact surroundings. Right, that's just the easiest way to picture this, right? So you don't have any free will at this point. You're just, cool, here you are, learn to adapt. Okay, step 2, we learn how to behave, what to believe, what's right and wrong, good and bad, what's acceptable, and how we fit into the world. Now, we do this through repetition, and we learn how important attention and validation is as we are constantly seeking it. So think about it. When we're babies and we're growing up, all we really care about is having our parents' attention, having their love, right? We learn how to get fed when we're babies. We learn how to, when we're tired, when we want something, right? We learn how to avoid them saying certain things, or punishment by doing certain things, or not telling them certain things, right? Because we want to stay on the good side, right? And we do this again and again and again and again, from the moment we are born to the moment we actually start to wake up and realize what's going on. So everything as a kid is revolved around attention and validation. We seek it, we want it, we crave it, right? Think about when, I grew up with 2 sisters, and, things like they wanted to have a certain thing, and just because they wanted it meant that I wanted it. And so I would try to take it away because I wanted the attention, right? Or when they were praised and when I was being punished, right? I just wanted to change that and have the validation and the love that they were getting. Right? There's all these different ways in which we do this to try and feel good enough, to try and receive the love, to try and be validated and reassured. Right? It's just our natural instincts, right? We want to feel part of the tribe. We want to feel love. These are core human desires. So from this early age, we're already learning how to acquire validation, even if it's not based in truth, and there is a bit of that manipulation and mask wearing. So then step 3, we're trained through reward and punishment. So when we abide by the rules, again, remember the rules that we were born into and we have no control over. When we abide by the rules, that is, we are good, right? We're good, well done, you get a reward. Right? At school, think about it. At school, when you're good, you get a reward, get a gold star, right? You get a lolly, you get you get praise at assembly or whatever it might be. But when you go against the rules, when you're too loud or outspoken, or you do something wrong, you're punished. Right? So through this, we learn how to manipulate ourselves to avoid punishment and receive reward and attention. So this is the birth of the people pleaser mask. So think back to your childhood or schooling, or even early adolescence. Right? You were already a people pleaser because you would hide parts of yourself because you didn't want to be punished, and you would really try and lean into the parts of you that you were told was good, so you would receive that reward. Right? It's literally how we live our lives and how we're conditioned. Right? Take it out on a macro sense. Right? When we abide by things in society and government and whatever else, we're good. When we go against it, we're bad. Punishment. Okay, so we've got such a divisive part of us that seeks to be good because we want reward and tries to steer away from punishment. And so that comes with pushing down parts of ourselves, hiding parts of ourselves, and wearing this mask. Step 4. So this is where our fear of rejection comes from, as well as our not good enough story, because there were guidelines on who we should and shouldn't be, which we did anything to fit into. And if we didn't, we were punished, rejected, and not good enough. When we get old enough, we take over from our parents and begin judging and viewing ourselves based on this rule book. So we've lived for however long, well, let's just say till we're, 15, 16, 18, where we've lived by certain rules, right? We understand good and bad. We understand who we need to be and who we should, aspire to be. When they stop parenting us, we continue that on, right? So again, we're still not challenging this narrative that there are parts of us that are not okay. We're still just going along with the flow. We're just trying to fit in. We're just trying to be accepted and loved and validated. So we're still playing by these rules deep into our teenage years, deep into our 20s. Right? Again, I work with people. I've had one of my probably most successful clients was 53, came to me with 50 odd years of imposter syndrome, been living a certain way under certain rules, believing he was a certain man, right? Certain limitations and insecurities. 50 years. He hadn't questioned the way he'd been feeling because of this rule book that we just don't question. Right? Not only do we judge ourselves, but now we also judge everyone else based on this as well. When we go against it, we create guilt and shame cycles, right? When we aren't good, okay, now I'm guilty. Now I feel shame, right? Again, because I'm going off the beaten track. Right? I'm not going to receive that love and that validation. And we become the victim who must carry the blame and isn't good enough, right? The birth of our not good enough story. This becomes who we see ourselves as and creates a lack of safety. So again, whenever we're not receiving that validation, that attention, okay, well, now we're on the outer, right? We're outside of the tribe. Now we don't have safety. And when we don't have safety, again, to our ego, that can be as good as death, metaphorical death. So we do anything in order to keep it around. So step 5, by the time you come to realize what's happened, you've likely spent your whole life with this rule book as your reference point, unknowingly, again, unconsciously seeking evidence and events to confirm these beliefs, not to mention the neural pathways and filters you've formed. Okay, so I don't go into neural pathways or reality filtering in this. That is a very, very complex topic that is saved for my mentoring, but that's literally how you perceive the world and how your brain filters reality based on your internal framework, right? What is going on is not what is actually going on. It's what we perceive going on based on how our internal foundation is set up. Okay, so we unknowingly seek evidence and events to confirm these beliefs. So if I believe I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I need to do this to receive love, I literally command my brain to find evidence to support that, even if it's not something that I want to feel. Right? This is the deep unconscious stuff that most people aren't aware of. And then we wonder why we keep attracting the same partner or the same problems, the same cycles, the same challenges. It's because unconsciously, not consciously, unconsciously, so at minimum 95% of your behavior is literally asking for it and seeking it. That's going to be more powerful than the 5% that is conscious to you. Right? These are all the deeply rooted patterns that, again, we're just not aware of and that the world is conditioned into us. And then wrapping up here, step 6, being ourselves is our biggest fear because we've been conditioned into trying to satisfy other people's demands to gain approval, validation, and acceptance instead of standing our ground in our own. We also create a perfectionist box that will allow us to be good enough, but we never fit into that. So we always strive for perfection because that's who we think we need to be. But because perfection doesn't exist, we can't actually achieve that. We're always going to fall short, which is only going to create these negative cycles. So when we aren't perfect, we reject ourselves because we aren't good enough, which leads to frustration, sadness, feelings of dishonesty, which makes us want to hide ourselves even more, which just fuels this cycle even more. I, Tom, am not good enough as I am. See, look at all this evidence. Look where I've fallen short. Look where I haven't received love. Look where I've been punished. Cool, it's not okay to be myself. It's not safe. So I'm going to wear the mask, right? I'm going to become the nice guy, the guy that just conforms and fits in and people pleases. Because this safety, receiving that love, receiving that validation, because I don't know how to give it to myself just yet, is my number one priority. All right, so it's a big one, and hopefully that's landed with you, and you can sort of trace things back to be like, okay, yeah, this is where I was rewarded for being good. This is where I was punished. This is what I was punished for. This is where I felt inferior or less than or not good enough. This is what I was told. Like really start to unpack this. Which parts of you have you felt like you've needed to hide and why? Okay, this is all part of the puzzle. Moving on, the puppet master. So removing the mask at its root. So most men struggle to let this mask go because they become so focused on the symptoms, i.e. the surface level pain and frustration instead of the root. Right? This is why another relationship, job, money, seeking for another achievement rarely work. Okay, so you're focused on, okay, why do I overthink all the time? Like, why can't I just let her have space? Why do I always worry when she goes out with her girls? All right, why am I worried that she's going to leave me? What is she thinking? Right, these are all symptoms. And if you trace all of those back, what are you scared of? Oh, she's going to leave. She's not going to love me and I'm going to be on my own. Okay, and what does that confirm? Oh, that I'm not good enough. Cool, now I'm back to square one. Right, so you try and bring in another relationship, but you're still living by this belief that you aren't enough. Right, you haven't actually addressed the underlying conditioning that's causing these issues in the first place. Now you've just put another one into your shit show and the same thing's going to happen. Right, she might be better for a little while. She might be more aligned to you. She might be able to help you. Maybe she might reassure you more, but eventually the man who is supposed to be the leader, the masculine, the provider, the protector, all these things, you can't be that if you believe you're not good enough. Those two things don't work. You can't be that strong, grounded masculine who leads and her partner and his partner can feel safe and secure in her feminine with, whilst you are being the nice guy, whilst you're always seeking her reassurance, whilst you're believing you're not enough. It's one or the other. All right, so again, the reason why I've created this video the way I do, the things that I talk about, literally the first 3 to 4 weeks of my actual mentoring, we're not really talking about the specifics just yet. They obviously come up, right? We might go through a module and then, they'll go out and things will happen in their relationship and we can troubleshoot, what to do. Like there's that aspect. But again, we're focused on actually addressing why you're showing up like this, why you're anxiously attached, why you don't feel good enough, why you don't feel confident, right? We need to let go of this mask so you can actually see your world and yourself through lens in which serves you. Okay, so underneath all of this is a singular lie, one story that you've left unchallenged. And that lie is almost always around the belief that you, in your entirety, are not good enough. This story is where we must place all of our focus initially. It's generally the same for everyone. It's some level of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not capable. Because for whatever reason, again, that event has happened or you were modeled that, you were told that, you were led to believe that, and you just didn't challenge it. It's always been a lie, right? The fact that you're born, right? You are, again, this is where faith comes in. You are a man of God. You are not a mistake. Your worth is in God, not in the world. Right? You have always been good enough. You have always been worthy. It doesn't matter what has happened or what you have done. That is without question. That is why you are here. So anything that contradicts that is a lie. But you've been believing the lie for so long because you haven't challenged it, because everything is so damn convincing. Your mind is so damn convincing. The world is convincing. The norms are convincing. Your conditioning, your upbringing, your parents, everything is so convincing to point you in towards this lie. And so you just create from that because you don't know how to challenge it. And then you get frustrated why nothing changes and why you try all these different things and nothing works. It's because that underlying current has not changed. Okay, because this is essentially how it works. We have our core story, so I'm not good enough, which then creates different belief systems. Right. So if I'm not good enough, what does that lead me to believe in my relationships? I can't be loved. I can't be accepted. She's not going to be attracted to me. She's going to leave after X amount of time. Right. We start to create belief systems in all these different areas of our lives as a result of I'm not good enough at the center. Right. Then throughout the day, we have all of these thoughts, right? Our daily chatter that comes from these belief systems. Oh, if I'm not loved or she's going to leave, that means I'm overthinking this. And like, I'm overanalyzing what she said. And oh, she wants space. So that means I've got to do this. Right now, my mental mind chatter is a result of that. Cool. Now I'm having feelings and emotions. We have a thought, which produces a feeling and emotion. It's how it works, not the other way around. Always a thought comes first. Okay, well, I'm worried that I said something wrong and that she's going to leave. And what if she doesn't like the decision that I make? And so now I feel anxious. Now my heart starts going. Now I feel sick in my stomach. Now I'm sweating. Cool. Now my actions. Okay, well, now I become overbearing. Now I fawn over her. Now I try to fix everything. Right? Because again, I've had my not good enough story triggered, and then results. Yeah, she gets sick of me being overbearing. She gets sick of the reassurance. She doesn't trust me to lead, and then she leaves. Right? And you can insert anything into this. Beliefs with business or your career, right? Playing small, not going all in on yourself because you believe you're not good enough. So why on earth would you go all in on yourself, commit yourself to whatever it is you want to do, right? Your body and your transformation. Yeah, I need to lose 15 kilos, but I'm not good enough. I'm not capable. Right? So I have a belief that I can't be consistent. I can't stay motivated. Like that can't happen to me. Cool. Now what are my actions going to do? Well, why would I go to the gym if I believe I can't be consistent and I can't actually do this? Okay. What are my results? Nothing. Stay the same. Put on weight. Right? Yo-yo. Okay. This is the framework. This is the game, guys. This is what we need to address. And again, most people sit thinking about their actions, which is great. Right? Obviously that's the end result, but there's all these things going on before that are creating such difficulty or misalignment in your actions and therefore in your results. Again, the stuff that just most people don't understand. Okay. Now, again, that line in and of itself, core story, beliefs, thoughts, I literally have an entire week's module on. So there's a lot more nuance to that, but that is a general overview of that. And again, this is where I'm teaching you the overarching mechanism, but personal nuance is going to come into this, right? Your personal situation is going to determine how we actually break that down and solve that. But if you take away one thing from this video, understanding that is going to allow you to almost reverse engineer and be like, okay, what is the story? What is the belief that I'm thinking here that is causing X emotion, X action, X result? Okay, as I said, every symptom, challenge, and area of your life that's been created as a result of you being the nice guy can be traced back to this deeper belief. Okay, so the smoke screen is look at all these problems that I'm having, focus on the problems, get overwhelmed because there's too many, don't do anything, blah, right? Nothing changes. We don't need to look at those just yet. We need to understand them, right? We don't need to disassociate from them. They're there, they're real. Okay, but what's driving them? What's causing me to show up as a man that is creating them or not creating them? What is the story? Not good enough. Okay, that's where our focus is. If I had to summarize my mentoring, the work that I do, into the most simplest thing, it'd be to change your belief from I am not good enough to I am good enough. Because as soon as you believe you're good enough and you're confident in that, you're convicted in that, you're certain in that, you trust God in that, and you start building evidence to support that, the nice guy mask has no reason to hang around. It just doesn't, because that's not your truth anymore. So your work is to become a relentless savage at disproving this not good enough story through thought and action, right? So challenging these lies, these beliefs, taking relentless action so that you are so confident, convicted, and proud of who you are that this old belief becomes laughable. So I've now gotten to the place where there's still lots that I'm working on. There's still lots that hasn't caught up in my external world, which I'm going to go through in a sec. But as a man, from a self-worth, a self-esteem, a confidence, a connection to God, I have never felt so worthy and so good enough in my life. So much so that the fact that I believed those old lies in the past and that I let so many of those things impact me, it's literally laughable. It's like, I can't believe I lived that way for so long. I can't believe that I thought I really wasn't good enough. Me, a man, like a son of God, right, who's here for a specific reason. Okay, so I've done the work to shift that, and now my reality is slowly starting to take shape around that. It's becoming a reflection of that. Like my body, I was able to overcome my body dysmorphia because, again, that was just a symptom of my not good enough story too. Right? If I believed I wasn't good enough, right, I was shamed and judged, the story I told you earlier, then why would I ever feel confident in my body? Why would I ever be consistent? Right? I would self-sabotage myself to keep my body not good enough because that's what I believe. That was my driving narrative. That's what my ego literally looked to protect. Okay, so we want to become a relentless savage at disproving your not good enough story through thought and action so that you are so confident, convicted, and proud of who you are that this old belief becomes laughable. And there's two ways we need to do that. The first is to simply own where you're at. Own your shadows, your flaws, your insecurities, your mistakes, your failures, and parts of yourself that you've tried to cover up and suppress. Right? This brings you back to wholeness instead of separation. Because what essentially happens is when you start to push down and suppress and, like, that's not me, like parts of you, you are literally signaling to yourself that you as a human are not enough. Right? It's all you. Right? It's like having a coin and being like, oh yeah, heads doesn't exist, but tails does. It's like, no, it's one of the same coin. Right? Heads and tails have to exist if the coin exists. So these parts of you are pushing away and you're neglecting, you're hiding from other people, and you're worried if they see you. You're literally commanding to your unconscious and your ego that there are parts of you that are not enough. And so therefore, as a whole, you are not enough. Okay, so the first way we do this is just by owning these things. It's like, yeah, I've messed up a lot. Yeah, I'm really insecure about my chest. Right? Yeah, I've got these flaws. Yeah, I've made these mistakes. I've failed a bunch of times. Right? My life is littered with failures, littered with decisions I wish I'd made differently, littered with things I've said I would do that I didn't do. Right? Still, to this day, there are things that I'm working on. Right? But I just own them. I will talk about them to anyone and everyone. I will talk about them on here. I will talk about them on my social media. I've done podcasts on them. Getting to the point where there is nothing that anyone can say about me that I either don't already know or that I'm working on. Right? One of the things I had to do when I was overcoming my body dysmorphia, because I was so scared of speaking it out and like having anyone actually see my chest without me, manipulating the angles or the lighting or the pump after a gym or whatever. And my mentor literally got me to just take a photo, the most unflattering photo possible, put it on Instagram. I had a decent amount of followers, on an old account, and just write a spiel of what was going on, right? Just be completely open and raw and vulnerable, right? And what happened? I got so much love, right? And in that moment, it was like, oh, okay, like I am actually okay. Maybe I was believing a lie. And there's always going to be people that laugh at you and continue down that path. But then it's like, okay, well, you're trying to, judge me or mock me or whatever for something that I've already owned and I've put out there. The best example of this is if you've seen 8 Mile, the Eminem movie, where the last rap battle, he wins it because he goes first and he literally just puts all of his flaws and mistakes and mess ups and everything on the table, and he just puts them out to the world as open and vulnerable as possible. And then the guy that he's battling against has nothing to say because he's just owned them all. So what is he going to say? He just walks off. Okay, so to come back to wholeness, to start actually feeling safe and secure in who you are without worrying about what other people are going to say about you, comes with you actually owning you first. Right? And this is a big part of the first few weeks of the work that I do with someone. Cool, let's get everything out onto the table. Tell me, what are you insecure about? What have you messed up? What have you failed? What do you wish you'd done differently? Cool, all good, right? Look, nothing bad's happened for you voicing that. It's okay, you're safe. Okay, cool. Now I don't actually have to create so much separation. And now I can approach my life from a much more whole place. Okay, that's the first thing. From there, again, build evidence, right? We don't just want to think about this. A lot of men's work and personal development and mental health stuff in the space is very thought focused, is very inner focused, which again, as you're seeing, is vital. But if that's where it ends and you just keep doing more inner work, you're going to create a whole different set of problems, right? Especially as men, we need to be building things. We need to be taking action, right? We need to be working hard. We need to be disciplined. Okay, so go out and prove that this is who you are. Go out and get into the best shape of your life. Go and start the business so eventually you can have abundance of money and provide for your family, right? Take the risk, travel, go on the date, ask the girl out, right? Go and build evidence to become the man that your family and future can depend on. Again, body, health, business, career, your faith, double down on your faith, right? Get closer with God, your lifestyle, your finances. We take the internal and we put it into the external. So again, the first 4 weeks that I'm working with someone is very much inner focus, conditioning focus. So we've got the platform, but then we're not talking about a whole lot anymore. It's like, cool, you understand where this has come from, what you need to do, why you have been the way you are. Cool. See ya, get to work. Like, go get after it. Go and prove that this is the man that you are now. Understand there's going to be setbacks along the way. Right, but now you need to take relentless action, no matter if it's successful or not. This is now your path because your foundation in which you're building this from is now completely shifted. So now, as we start to get towards the end of this, can you now start to see what I meant when I said that you don't have a relationship, body, business, or life challenge? You have an external world that simply mirrors your current identity. Because you think about yourself showing up in either your current relationship or in your next relationship as a man who has owned all of his insecurities, his flaws, and he's just happy to talk about them because it just is what it is. If someone doesn't like him, cool, see you later. If someone does, that's only going to deepen your connection. Right? But then again, actually now building evidence. Okay, cool. Now I'm in great shape. I love what I see in the mirror. Now I've got a business that is fulfilling, impactful, and makes me a bunch of cash. Right? I feel purposeful. I feel really connected with God. Now we're taking back all of that worth that we used to outsource, right? All of the validation we used to seek elsewhere, all of the love we used to seek elsewhere. And now we're like, I actually don't need my external world to validate that. Of course, it's nice. Again, we can still receive that, and it's beautiful, and we need that. But I'm actually going to be okay if I don't get it, right? Because I know how God sees me. I know my worth in him. And now I also have all this evidence that I can actually love myself. And if someone leaves or laughs or whatever else, it doesn't matter because I'm good. Right? Something I got a client to do the other day. And again, this is very contradictory to probably a lot of evidence. Like with his relationship stuff, I said, hey, like I need you to start becoming okay and creating some peace around your relationship not working out, right? Explore it. Okay, what happens if she does leave, right? Because generally our biggest fear as a nice guy is to be left and abandoned, because that's just going to trigger that not good enough story and the pain associated with it. But as soon as you can actually be okay with the thought of that, doesn't mean that that's what we want, right? There's still going to be sadness if it does happen. But as soon as you take away some of that resistance, you take away some of the power that you are giving to someone else, now you know, okay, if all my fears came true and this person left, it would suck, right? It'd be sad and painful and all the things, that's cool. But I know long-term I'd be okay because of all this evidence, right? Because I know that I'm worthy. I know what I have to give. And okay, cool, that was just not my person. There's someone out there that is better for me, that is going to love me even more, and that I can be even more of my true authentic self with. Right? When you have that confidence and conviction in who you are, when you don't now need to people please and rely on others to validate your worth and to receive love, you get to show up as such an unstoppable version of yourself, especially when you're rooted in your faith in God. And you just like, cool, whatever happens, happens. I know me, I know my heart, I know my intention, I know what I deserve, I know what I'm building in my life. Come on with me? Sweet, let's go. No, you're not my person or whatever else. Okay, that's fine. All good, no hard feelings. we keep going. Okay, you don't have a relationship problem, a body problem, a business problem. We can get to the strategy of that, but you need to be a certain man with a certain foundation first. Okay, so slight pause here before I go through the very last part. So if you've made it this far and things are making sense, but you feel like you want to ask questions or have me deep dive into your specific situation and mask, you'll have the opportunity to book a one-off 60-minute call with me to go through pretty much anything you like. You basically say, okay, this is my situation. This is what I need help with. And we can actually just get on a one-on-one call for up to an hour and dissect that, right? Assuming you don't want to jump into the full-blown one-on-one mentoring, right, over the course of the 8 weeks. Okay, so if you want that, there'll be an option somewhere on this page, or just simply DM me on Insta. The investment is 149 USD. But again, this video might be enough for you to go away and do all the things you do. But if you're like, okay, I feel really good, I've got a foundation, but I would love to actually chat this through more the personal nuance and get specific advice, message me. Again, look somewhere on this page and we'll set that up. Okay, cool. Now, final piece here, right? So what to do moving forward now that you understand all of what we're going through. So as you start to transition out of the nice guy, as you start to let the mask dissolve and you challenge the conditioning and the beliefs and everything that you've been living by, there's going to be some struggle, right? Because you've got to remember that the mask has been around for a while. So it will take some time and there will be lingering aspects of this mask, your old self, your old patterns as you go. And to be honest, probably almost forever at some capacity. Okay, but understand that your current reality, so right now, is merely a reflection of your past thoughts, stories, emotions, and actions. So it can take time for your external world to reflect the internal shifts. So what is going on for you right now, current day challenges, are a result of the past. There's no real metric to it, but all of your combined thoughts and stories and actions and whatever else. Okay, when a person loses 10 kilos on this day, that is a result of their consistency in their food and their training and their steps over the last 12 weeks. Okay, it takes time for that to catch up, right? Our reality and our thinking and our identity stuff is no different. So the motto that I live my life by now is be delusional until your reality catches up. So I can feel the internal shifts. I know where I want to go. I know what I want. I know who I am. I understand it's going to take some time for things to catch up as I start to put more of me out there, let go of what doesn't serve me, and allow time for this rearranging to take place. Right? It's essentially like, okay, there's this old building in the middle of the city and it's gross and we want to get rid of it to put in a new skyscraper. Cool, that doesn't just happen. Okay, we need to demolish the skyscraper, the old building, sorry. We need to clear the rubble. We need to relay the foundation, and then we need time to actually build the skyscraper. It's the same here. Okay, hopefully in this video, we've started to remove some of these old beliefs and limitations. Okay, then it's going to take time to clear all these out, rebuild the foundation, which again, that's where coming to actually work with me is going to be able to do that for you. And then over time, we'll start to see the results. Cool. Your relationships, how you show up in those, the husband, the father, the role model, okay, the business owner, your body, your health, right? These things take time, but they're inevitable now that you've changed your foundation. So you need to hold the vision, be delusional, even if nothing looks like it's changing, it is. You just need to be patient, right, until your reality starts to catch up. Okay, so things you can start to do now. So in your relationships, if you're not in one, all good, just start showing up as this man and you will attract in, the right person in when the time is right. But if you're in relationships, like actually go and communicate to your partner what you need and explain this journey to her. Heck, if she's down, like watch this video with her, right? Say, okay, this is what I'm struggling with. I know I haven't been the best in this area or this, or, this has caused fights or whatever. Okay, from now on, I'm actively working on this. This is what I need from you. Okay, now the wrong person will have a problem with that. Okay, they won't want to give you that. They're like, no, you should just do it. The right person will be like, cool, got you. I hear you. What do you need from me? Okay, yeah, like I don't love that I need extra reassurance and words right now, but the fact is I just do for the moment. I'm working on it. But if you could just do da, 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 da. Okay, yeah, sure, I can do that. As you do that, as you start to work through this work, you're going to need that less and less. And then it's going to become I like receiving it, and she'll want to say it just as a nice thing to do rather than, okay, this is just like a necessary thing that I have to do out of obligation. Okay, so your communication in your relationships around this stuff and just, again, owning everything is going to be how you're going to move through this. Okay, and again, this is like the best proxy to know if you've got the right person with you, because no one's perfect. Like this notion that you need to be perfect and healed before you attract in your right person is complete rubbish, because there are going to be elements, especially in what we're talking about as the nice guy, that is going to need someone to help you along with that, right? You're going to need a relationship container to help create the safety whilst you're navigating this shift. Because ultimately you are going to get to the place where you're secure, you're safe, you're confident, you're able to lead, be that masculine presence. You know, your partner is going to be able to soften into her feminine and do all the beautiful things that she wants to do, right? And she's going to be able to communicate to you and be like, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is what I need from you. And you're going to want to be able to give that to her. Okay, so that's the relationship part. With your body, prioritize getting into epic shape. Like, it's literally as simple as that. We want to be confident as men. We need to look the part, right? We need to be strong. We need to love our body. It doesn't mean we need to have abs or need to be the jack strongest dude in the room, but start getting yourself into the kind of shape where you can look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I feel confident. I feel like strong. I feel when I walk into a room, I can, stick my chest out and feel really good in how I look. Okay, your faith, get as close to God as possible, right? Get in the word, get in prayer, like build that relationship as a priority above everything else. Again, remember, this is the foundation of foundations. Without that, when we start to neglect that, now we start to go back into the world, right? And we know the world is chaos, right? We don't want to outsource to that. Okay, so really double down on your faith. Business career, again, everyone's going to be different. You might have a business, you might want to start a business, or you might be in a career that you love and you want to progress in. Right? Or you might be in a career that you absolutely hate and you want to start that business. Whatever it is, start making more empowered decisions and stop playing small. Start the business, pivot, ask for the promotion, go for the job, right? Quit the job if you don't like it, whatever it might be. Again, everyone's going to be a little bit different here, but make sure the work you are doing to acquire money is fulfilling, purposeful, and you enjoy it. Okay, then the purpose elements of this, again, you are here for a reason, so own it. Maybe you don't know what that is. I would recommend exploring that. Okay, what did God actually put me here for? Why did he put me in this exact body with these exact challenges, in this exact family, at this exact time, with this exact generational pattern in the past, in this exact relationship? Like, why me? What generational pattern do I need to break? What do I need to teach my kids that maybe I didn't get taught by my dad or my parents? Right, what example do I need to set? What business do I need to create that's going to change the world in a better place? Right, how can I be an asset to God's kingdom and make the world a better place? Everyone has one. Right, again, the nice guy mask and the insecurity will have you believe that you don't have one. Right, again, part of the deeper issue of me not believing I'm enough. If I'm not good enough, why on earth would I have a purpose? And then vision. Get insanely clear on the exact future that you're building. Okay, we can talk about this all we want, but if we don't actually know where we're going, right, we don't just get into a car and just drive for the sake of it. And this is very different to goal setting. Okay, goal setting's fine. Like, you can do it. Yeah, I want to lose 5 kilos and I want to hit this amount of revenue in my business, and I want to do X amount of trips with my partner, or whatever it is. All good, right? But I love an activity that I get my clients to do, and I'll just share it very, very briefly with you, is I essentially get them to create a scene in the future, a real scene that they can go and immerse themselves in a meditation or visualization. And for that scene to exist, all of the goals, the desires, the prayers, the things that they wanted to build had to have come true for that scene to exist. So for me, my scene is I'm sitting at my dinner table. I've got my wife on my left. I've got my son in front of me, and I've got my daughter to my right. We're eating a beautiful meal, like steak, high quality food. I can feel my body and how I look. I can feel my health and my vitality and my vibrance. I can feel the love and connection with my partner when I look at her. I can see my kids and how they look at me, and our relationship as a family dynamic, right? We're sitting there in prayer, so we have God at the center. I can look around my house, right, and see all the hard work paid off. I can look at my phone and see a bank balance. I can, again, look at my phone and be like, oh yeah, I've got that, call with X client or with this group tomorrow, like super fulfilling group of men that I'm working with. Right, and I can walk around this scene and look at different aspects. I can look at myself in the mirror. I can ask myself questions. Right, so this is the scene that I'm working towards. And so every day I'm able to show up as that version of me as best as I can. Right? There are times where I don't, of course, but that's my North Star. And you see how more powerful that is to be like, okay, that's what I'm working towards, rather than when I'm having a down day and I'm like, oh yeah, but I've got to lose 5 kilos, so I've got to go to the gym, or oh, I'm supposed to travel, but I can't afford it, and da-da-da. It's like, that's not going to pull you out of any slump. When I'm feeling down, I'll go and sit in my meditation for 15, 20 minutes, and I will just go to that scene. Like, cool, this is why I'm doing this. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to remember, right? That combined with obviously prayer is going to be incredibly powerful for you, okay? So yeah, get clear on your vision. And then the final words as we wrap up. So yeah, brother, you are so capable of being the man that your family and future can depend on, right? Forget everything else. You are capable. The fact that you're here, the fact that God has put breath into you every single day means that you are capable. There's no debate there. There's no argument there. There's no doubt there. It's not a conversation we need to have. It is not a capability issue. It's just the things you've been conditioned into believing that I've gone through in this video. You aren't broken. You don't have a character flaw, and this isn't just how it's always going to be. Again, these are beliefs, right? I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. This is how it's always going to be. Belief systems, remember back, trace back to a story. I'm not good enough. Yeah, that makes sense. If I'm not good enough, then yeah, I'm broken. Yeah, this is how it's always going to be. Yeah, there's something wrong with me. Okay, not the case. Challenge those beliefs. Your future depends on the decisions you make from now and have nothing to do with what's happened in the past up until this point, right? I don't care what you've been through. I don't care what you've done wrong. I don't care. What happens now is when you click out of this video, what are you going to do? How are you going to show up? What man are you going to show up as, right? Start leading. Start challenging some of these thoughts. Start being aware of what's going on in your mind, right? From now on, line in the sand. That's all that matters. Again, remember, stay delusional until your reality catches up. Move like God sent you because he did. Remember, at the end of the day, you've got the Creator behind you, and he will guide you and protect you and give you everything you need. Even these exact challenges that you are experiencing right now are perfectly given to you for a very specific reason. Okay, I wholeheartedly believe that. And so we can choose a perspective that we want to take on that. We can choose to play the victim and again, go back to the rule book of the conditioning, or we can be like, okay, he's given me these challenges for a reason. He obviously knows I can handle them. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given them to me. He's not going to give me anything that is going to break me. He will give me stuff that can crush me and can make me bend and can make me question everything, right? So that I lean back on him and have more reliance and trust in him so he can refine me into the man I need to be for what I'm asking for. I did a Substack on this yesterday. It's up on my Substack. And it's basically talking about the cost, right? There's a cost of admission to this life that you want as a man. Okay, and all the tests and challenges and trials and tribulations are all given to you perfectly to refine you into that man. Because if you're already the man that could have these things, you'd have them. But the fact is you don't. The fact is you're still struggling with the nice guy mask. There's still a lie you're believing that is not from God, that is not who you actually are. And so everything is given to you perfectly. This is a perspective that will get you very, very far. Setbacks will happen. You'll fall off. You'll fail. You'll go back to old patterns and cycles. It's just the way it goes, right? The law of polarity suggests we're going to experience both sides of the coin. But remember, it doesn't matter how bad the setback, the challenge, the dry season, the waiting season, the chaos that goes on in your life, right? There's been so much chaos in my life over the last 12 months. It has made my head spin. But again, I know God's given that for me for a reason. There's refinement that I needed to go through, but also the mere fact that the bad exists means that the good has to exist. Remember, two sides of the coin. They can't exist independently. If tails exist, heads must exist. And it's only a matter of time before I eventually see heads. So even though you might be sitting in tails, right, the challenge for however long, struggling, the fact that that exists means that the complete opposite end of the spectrum, the abundance, the fulfillment, the joy, the love, everything you want has to exist by literal laws of nature. Okay, again, you choose your perspective. That's completely up to you. You lead your perspective because you're the man. Right, and then finally, should you want to really commit to this journey, feel free to reach out, right? If you've got any questions from this, if you've got any comments, again, just reach out, no strings attached. But also, I'm going to call you forward, right? I put something in before about if you just want to jump on a one-on-one call to dissect anything, like absolutely do that, right? Let's get clear. But I'm also going to call you forward, right? Because I know the power of this work. We've barely scratched the surface of this. And with this work, like the content's great. And like I've given away a lot of my paid content in this cheap video, right? But the power of this is when we actually apply this to your situation, is when we get clear on your vision, right? So I actually take you through the full process of building out that future scene, right? We actually align your body, your faith, your purpose, your business, career direction, right? The relationship stuff that we've been talking about. Right? When we're able to do that together with all of this understanding, and again, we go through all this in so much more detail, and there is a lot more that I take people through. When we combine all that, like this future that you want, the man your family and future can depend on, literally becomes inevitable. There is no way that it cannot happen when you and I are in a room together doing this work. Right, so the invitation is there. You can go away, I can never hear from you, and you just use this video, totally fine. I honestly pray that you've gotten so much value and help from just this video. But for those of you that are truly ready to step up into this, right, prove to yourself that you're the man, prove to yourself that you can lead, right, take action on yourself so you can give your family, your future, and your younger self everything that they deserve and everything that you desire. Reach out and let's actually walk through this fire together. All right, guys. So yeah, we're done here. I appreciate you making it way all the way through. My voice is getting a little bit sore, so we're going to wrap it up. But yeah, reach out if you've got any questions. And yeah, God bless. I hope this has been helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.